Hey, Gemini. Your season's coming soon. This is your May Taurus season reading. And all information to work with me is below, as well as your extended reading, which are going so well. I highly recommend to check those out because we get even deeper and ask even more in-depth questions about the initial spread. First card out is the Star. So naturally, the sign before you, when you're in the sign before your sun sign, there's a lot of subconscious things that could be coming up, for sure, because we have the pouring in the front and the back. So your conscious mind is doing so much. It seems like you're at a pretty good balance of what's going on. And if you're at all in a place where you're like, I don't know what's happening, it's just because you're becoming even more intuitive. And sometimes we really do have to lean into the mystery in order to acknowledge and integrate that intuition, that new sharpness that you may have, that you may find yourself having. Just adjust myself. And it could also be this shift that is something that's going to happen over the course of quite a few years. Not anything, yes, there will be new things along the way. Yes, things will shift and change along the way, but this is like a slower change. This is a ripple effect. If you look at the water, it's rippling, and we'll take a look at that after. Hanged Man, Hermit, 10 of Wands, and the Fool. So a lot of major arcana's first outset shows that you are really in the mystery, that you are needing road signs in the dark. Maybe you're at a fork in the road, perhaps, and then we have the High Priestess on the bottom. So it's important to put equal energy into your subconscious and conscious life. What does that mean? That you may need some kind of meditative practice, like especially right now, because it's only going to help your conscious brain be here, be where you need to be, because there's some things that you're becoming aware of that maybe you noticed internally, but now you're seeing the light in the tunnel physically. You're seeing the way out. You're seeing the way forward. You realize that the work more than ever, not that you're unaware of this, but the work, the real work that you need and that you've needed is an internal shift. That working in this space is sometimes even harder to navigate than this external world. It also makes you a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier for you. Maybe this is like the way that you get back to or go forward to or come to this extremely authentic place. That you're seeing things for what they really are. The way that you work towards something or for something or for yourself or for someone. But you're ready to take the next step, and it's not coming from a place of like that you've known in the past. It's not coming from an irrational place. It's not coming from adrenaline. This is coming from something that has been building up. You finally go from, okay, this is as much as I can do. It's time to set forth on the adventure. There could be someone else in your life too who may be involved in this, who sheds some light for you. Something maybe you didn't even ask out loud, you had no intention of hearing, and another major arcana. Implying that it's very important that if you see what's happening externally, this is another very like right under the star, it's perfect. The cups going back and forth. Now it's more in your control, right? You now realize, okay, the mystery, the darkness, the light is coming closer. Things are coming nearer. You're in this adventure. You're in this journey. You're in this moment where because you really needed to hear some things. You needed to hear them in a certain way and from yourself. You may not even tell the person who shed the light on you that they even did that just yet, because you are so in this space where you're not ready to reveal, where you are maybe even looking for a way out of something, or looking for a way to make a change with something. Your emotions need to be steady for this to happen, or you need to have a very clear acknowledgement of what's going on inside of you for this to play out. Because look at how dark it just got, and now the light. I mean, I can't make this shit up. So, another road sign in the dark. You may almost feel like, okay, I'm doing this, but like, when is it going to happen? You can't ask to know when, because then it's just going to happen. Then it's just going to shift. The eclipse definitely had a big impact on you last week as well. We'll get more into that into the second part again. And who all these people can be that are around you. You may feel like you have to carry people, or you've had to carry people with you. That's not necessary anymore. That's not the case anymore. And it becomes extremely obvious to you that just because you don't want to do this, you may not want to take that big risk just yet. You may want to play it a little safer, just a little safer right now. Because I keep going back to that Fool, and then we have Justice, the Six of Wands. We got more cards too. The Three of Wands. There's an extra sureness that you need to have right now. And that's in your confidence. That's how you hold yourself. That's you not caring who comes with you, because they're coming with you. And then you find yourself alone. Well, you can't expect them to have the vision for you. You have to look. If you're leading whatever you're leading, or you find yourself in a situation where you need to take the lead, or you find yourself in a situation where you have to take the lead from this person, from someone who is very level-headed, from someone who can make decisions, that maybe you acknowledge that, or acknowledge the person in your life who has an ability to be so stable with their emotions. And then let's go of control and sees what happens. That maybe these people are really leading you into your new whatever it is. Your new life, next chapter, next book, next movie, next creation, next project, whatever it is. Next job. I have to sneeze, hold on. Thank you. Thank you. I covered my hand, don't worry. Because this all comes from a part of you that possibly, that needs to be looked at, remothered, a purpose you need to reconnect to through gratitude, through taking a look around you, seeing what you already have, seeing what's already useful, the values that you can give away instead of hold on to so closely. The control that you seek to have comes from wherever you're lacking to nurture yourself in this time. We'll get more into Mars, into Cancer. We have Aries again out here. Aries and Virgo are very strong in the readings this month, because we have the Virgo out as well. But you're being impacted by this airwave of energy wanting to overhaul what's happening by, it's like when an artist is just in their space, when I'm also thinking of, for some reason, when a pilot is in the captain chair flying the plane, he needs to only think about where they're going next, how to get there safely. And then when the flight lands, everything's great, the artist that's creating something doesn't know where it's really going, has an idea, but then changes it and shifts it, but then it molds into something else. If you're working with people, there needs to be a way where you bring them along for your thought process, to not be afraid of explaining your thought process, even if it takes a little bit at first. How that goes hand in hand with your emotional process, and needing to learn when feedback's a good thing. If you work with a group of people, or maybe you have ideas for the job you're at and you really want to share them, or you have something to offer, or people ask you, oh, how do you handle this so well? Like maybe you're giving out advice, right? And maybe you're gonna, maybe that turns into some kind of passion or purpose that you have set out for yourself. That all of the stars are aligning you to really take a look at, what's important, how it's impactful, how it's impacted you and who you are, only you, just you, these places. Because we talked about leaving certain parts of yourself behind last month. Now that it's coming back to me, I realize like this makes so much sense. You're like, who am I without these different things? Like those are stories that you have, which is beautiful. Maybe you put it into something. Maybe you share that. And while you do that, you almost let go of them by nature. They're never going to leave, right? But then it allows you to step fully into this space where you're creating something out of something else that once was. That you're sharing some much nurtured values, some much nurtured wounds, traumas within yourself, things that have become the most positive influences on you, even though it was a harsh start, perhaps. All of those different things. And the more that you nurture the space, the more you realize you have so much more to give. In these ways, which you realize that the ways that you have been giving aren't bad, but these are more potent. This makes a lot of sense. This is the meat of all of what you're trying to do. And in order to give that, you need to water, feed all the parts of yourself. This is you. And all the parts of yourself that really need it right now. It's like Aries season hit you again, like, hey, don't forget about this. We're in Taurus season. You have so much time. It expands now. Go ahead and do it. But definitely do it. Don't shy away from it at all. There's a lot of moving parts, moving pieces. But it's not chaotic, which is great. It may feel it at first, but it will slow down probably through the course of this, when this comes out, by that time. And some things that are taking up space perhaps start to fall away. And you realize that maybe that was just the excuse, not in like a bad way, but it was just that subconscious excuse to like keep you held back, when you really need to be looking into what's real for you now, what's possible for you now, not just the future. And it could, like when we talk about the present, it can almost feel scary to be like, oh, but it's just a blank space. Like I'm just here. Wherever you are, you're here, you're there. It could feel almost scary, especially if you're by yourself, but for everyone, they can only go there by themselves. But then, in that even thought, can make you feel more connected, because you know everyone has to go there. That there's plenty of people that have traveled there from past lives to now, to before, to now, that cross the globe in the same moment. not letting you go without this, okay? That's what it's showing. So much stubbornness and direction and being directed. Okay, we'll get into the second part. I highly recommend it, and all information to work with me and all my other stuff is below. See you next month. Happy birthday, Gemini. Also to the early Geminis.